So I have a really bad joke. You guys want to hear a really bad joke?
Yeah.
This is bad. You got to prepare yourself, okay?
I have the first one.
What do you know what they say, right? If you spend the day at the well,
Adam says a lot of things.
if you spend the day at the well, it was a day well spent. Day well spent. Okay. We'll talk about that. Okay, anyways. I heard that joke today and it was so bad.
You have a better
But, no. I only know that. So we are doing this study of the study of Moses, right? So we've been, if you guys have been coming to Sunday mornings, we've been talking a lot about Numbers and Deuteronomy. So we're seeing kind of the second half of the story of the Israelites as they're on the way to the Promised Land, right? So we know the end of the story with Moses. We're going to go back to the beginning of the story of Moses. And I'll be honest with you guys, you always tell me we were doing the study of Moses, and I kind of been struggling on what to teach this week. And I was like, I mean, everybody knows the story of Moses. Like we all know the story of Moses. I was like, I read through it. I was like, I don't really know what to talk about. But then I was in this room over here a few days ago, and I had been having a really hard day, and I'll go into that a little bit later in the lesson. But the Lord really used what I was going through during that day, and He created this lesson, which I think is really good. And I think it will speak to a lot of you guys about what Moses was going through. So we are going to be in Exodus chapter 2. If I turn to Exodus chapter 2, we're going to read the verse. We'll get your Bible. If not, I'm going to read it out. Exodus 2, verse 1. I'll read it out. So again, I'm sure you guys have heard this story before. We're just going to go over it real quick. This is about the birth of Moses. Now, a man of the tribe of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at the distance to see what would happen to him. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This is one of the Hebrew babies, she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" "Yes, go," she said. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child, Moses, grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." So we're going to be looking at that and what happens before and after that. So for the story of Moses, right? Moses, for me, I look at the character of Moses. The first part of his life, this dude is like built up to be like a superhero. This dude, okay, so like this is a crazy story. So back at this time in Egypt, right? Because you guys know the story, the Israelites were enslaved to the Egyptians, right? And so they were actually prospering so much that Pharaoh got scared, and he told the midwives, and they were the kind of people that helped with the birthing of babies. He told the midwives to kill all the Israelite boys that were born because he was afraid that the Israelites were going to be too many, right? So then he told the midwives, when you get a baby, just get rid of it. And the midwives were like, no. They said the midwives feared God, and they didn't do it. They didn't listen to Pharaoh, right? So they didn't kill the little babies. So Pharaoh was like, fine, if you won't kill the babies, we're just going to find all the young little boys of the Hebrew nation, and we're just going to throw them in the Nile. Again, you want to get rid of them, stop them from reproducing and growing into a large people, right? So we see Moses' mom in chapter 2, in that part I just read, right? She hides him for 3 months. She's got a 3-month baby that she's been hiding for a long time. And it comes to a point where she can hide him no longer, right? She can't hide him anymore. And so we see her, she puts Moses in a basket, right? So she doesn't just toss him out in the river. That'd be kind of bad, right?
She was supposed to put your child in there.
Well, we're gonna look at what she does, right? So she puts him in a basket, right? So if you look at the Hebrew word for the basket that she used, it's actually called the Hebrew word is the same word that refers to the ark. No, it's actually really interesting. It's the same word that refers to the ark, and she coated the outside of it with tar and pitch and kind of made it so it was able to float and floated off into the side of the river, right? And so when I was kind of thinking, like, what was like, if you get into the mind of Moses' mom, right? She kind of understood. Like, I believe that she tried to do her best to make sure that like the basket would stay afloat, but she was ultimately like letting her baby go, right? She was ultimately like sending her baby down the river, right? She was ultimately giving Moses back to God, hoping and probably praying and having faith that God would deliver him. But she let her baby into the river, right? She let Moses go, and she said, like, I'm putting this into your hands. But then God does a miracle, right? And literally, Pharaoh's daughter. So Pharaoh hated the Hebrews, right? And so he told them to kill all little Hebrew boys. And the person that rescues Moses out of the water is Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter disobeys her dad and takes a little Hebrew boy into the palace, right? And then the whole thing, just the craziness of she ends up asking Moses' real mom to take care of him until he gets older. They don't really know how old he was, probably a teenager. And then he moved back into the palace as Pharaoh's daughter, as his mom. And he grew up in the palace, right? So at this point, Moses is a Hebrew, so he's got the respect and the admiration of all the Hebrew people. He's grown up in the palace, so I would guess that the Egyptians are like, all right, we respect this dude. So like Moses is like at the position that you'd be like, if anybody was going to save these people from Egypt, Moses is the guy, right? He's got the Egyptians on his side, he's got the Hebrews on his side. Like everything is going to Moses, right? And then we get to the second part of chapter 2, and I'll let you guys know what happens to Moses, what Moses does. So we're going to read, if you have a Bible, Exodus 2, verses 11 and 12, right? So many of you guys know this, I'll read it real quick. One day, after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. So this is after he'd grown up in the palace and all that kind of stuff, right? I think he's about 40 at this point. Yeah, I think that's right. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Right? That's pretty bad. You know, the Moses we talked about, split the Red Sea, all these incredible things leading the Israelites. He literally just killed the guy. He killed an Egyptian, like no joke. He killed somebody. What? I know, right? That's exactly. That's crazy. Like, so Moses, this is not like righteous anger. This is like, I believe it's out of rage, right? So you can see that he knows this is a bad idea, right? It doesn't say he looks this way, then he's like, nobody can see me. Boom, now I kill him. Right? He knew that if somebody saw him, this was going to be a bad idea, right? But it's still, he looked around and saw nobody, and so he killed the guy, right? But we see that somebody did see him. We see that one of the Hebrews actually did see him. So the next verse, it says, the next day he went out and saw two Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, he said, why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew? And the man said, who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian? Then Moses was afraid and thought, what I did must have me come down, right? Like, have any of you guys ever been in that position before? Where like you have a secret, and you're like afraid that someone will find out something? You're like, oh yeah, I knew you did that. That's a terrible position to be in, right? Moses he's trying to step into that leadership role and say, hey, let's work this out. He's like, oh, you're gonna kill me too? Dang. So he finds out that what he did, his murder was made known, right? So not only did the Hebrews know, not only did his people, the people he grew up in, the Israelites, all of his people, not only did they know that he had murdered a guy, Pharaoh actually finds out too. We see the next verse is, when Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, right? And so this period of Moses' life, he grows up in Egypt. He grows up first, his mother has him for 3 months, sends him into the river. Pharaoh's daughter gets him out of a miracle. She sends Moses back to his mom. His mom raised him until he was a little older, grows up in the temple, but then he flees to Midian, right? So, because he killed the Egyptian, that's right, because people found out. So Moses was exiled, right? And so we see that Moses was exiled for 2 reasons, right? One of the pretty obvious reasons, right, is Pharaoh's trying to kill him, right? If somebody's trying to kill you, you're going to get the heck out. So he ran to Midian for that reason, but we also kind of see like with Moses, like he kind of exiled himself. Have you guys ever done that before?
Yeah.
You ever exiled yourself? You know what I mean by that? Yeah. Moses put some like kind of labels on himself. He felt like the Hebrews threw shame at him. Pharaoh threw shame at him. He threw shame at himself, right? The Hebrews said, who are you to be the judge and ruler? Who are you to lead us? Pharaoh said, you're a criminal, right? Like maybe not those specific words, but has anybody ever said words like that to you? Like, you're not good enough. You're not handsome enough, if you're not pretty enough, if you're not smart enough, if you're not cool enough, if you're not popular enough, if you're not whatever enough, right? People around us want to put labels on us. Tell you you're not good enough. Tell you you're not good enough, right? And then eventually Moses starts feeling this towards himself, right? I believe that Moses saw himself in the same way that other people saw him, right? We kind of see that in the next chapter with the burning bush, how he responds to God. He really doesn't. He doesn't believe that God would want to use him, right? Ultimately, Moses exiled himself, right? He was exiled by others, yes, and that's really important. But ultimately, I think he exiled himself. He, along with all the other people who were supposed to respect him, they're like, Moses, you're a murderer. Moses, you're disqualified. Moses, you're unfit for leadership. Who are you to lead us? Moses, you're forsaken. Moses, you're dirty. Moses, you're unusable. Go, get out of here. That's what he thought about himself too. He said, who am I? I gotta leave my family, gotta leave my friends, leave everything I know. I'm gonna leave. So he goes to Midian. Moses, I think we do that to ourselves sometimes, right? I've definitely been going through this. Back middle school, I definitely went through this a lot. High school, definitely went through this. Even in college, even this last year, even this last week, I've gone through this. I think that's a part of maturing in the world, but also maturing as a Christian. People labeling us labeling ourselves. Social media is a lot of a reason for that. For me, what happened this week, I've been struggling a lot with validation issues. Do you guys know what validation is?
No.
Okay, so validation is like it's like you post something on Instagram and you get all the likes and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm worth it because I got all these likes. Or like I'm cool because I got all these likes. Or like people care about me. Or like all these different things. People want to talk to me. People want to hang out. People want me. That's what validation is. And I saw myself this week really turn to social media, really turn to avenues I really shouldn't for validation, right? Ultimately, as you guys know, social media doesn't do that. Social media is terrible at that. Everything is terrible at that except one place, right? And so, going to social media, going to all these different places, I started putting these labels on myself, like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not cool enough. Oh, I'm not as happy as all these people, right? I started putting all these labels on myself. I kind of exiled myself for a few days. And that's when I sat down there and I saw that Moses was in the same place. Moses exiled himself just like I had exiled myself. There's definitely been times in my life where I'm doing great. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm walking the walk. Yeah, let's go. And then I make a huge mistake. Did you guys ever make a huge mistake before? And then get found out? If you haven't, you definitely will, because that's called life. That's called life. You will definitely make a huge mistake. And you will see yourself, hopefully not as a murderer. Hopefully you don't murder somebody. Please don't murder somebody. Please.
We're looking at you.
Please. Has anybody ever murdered somebody before? It's okay, it's a safe place.
I murdered my friends. I'm just kidding. I murdered somebody in my private. That's a list. It's 3 pages long.
But if you haven't murdered somebody, right? All of us have murdered somebody else. All of us have ultimately made a mistake.
I murdered somebody
See you.
else.
Take care.
That's right.
And then I brought
See you.
it back up.
Yeah,
Now
see
they
you.
stop me.
Or Sunday. I'll do that on Sunday. But Drew will be here. Yeah.
Also, Kara, what time?
7:02. 7:02.
What time does it finish?
Oh, this ends at 7:15.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know how much time.
Do what?
I'm sorry.
You got a little over 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Anyways, so that's where I was at, right? I was at this place where I kind of had put all these labels on myself. I wasn't good enough. Ultimately, that I wasn't. There's a lot of people, even in the Christian world, there's the cool Christians, right? I was starting to put myself up against them, like, oh, I'm not doing as good as them. Oh, I'm not as good as them. I'm not as qualified as them. I'm not. Let's go back to Moses and see what happens, right? So Moses exiles himself. But the thing I want to point to, and the thing that God really showed me here in this story that super encouraged me, and I'm hoping it encourages you guys, right? Listen up. God still saw him. God still saw Moses. So in Exodus 2:12, right, we see Moses, before he kills the Egyptian, what does he do? He looks this way and that. He looks all right. Nobody sees it. Nobody sees it. You know what he didn't do? He gotta look up, right? God saw him kill the Egyptian. God saw. Huh?
The guy that was in the Bible is God.
No, God saw him.
Love you, dude.
God saw Moses kill the guy. God witnessed Moses kill the guy, right? Because we know, like, God sees everything. God's omniscient, right? He sees you in that dark room when you make that mistake. He sees you when you lie. He sees you when you listen. He sees you when you cheat on that test. He sees you when you do what? Right? He sees you, right? So he saw Moses. Listen, guys, listen. God saw Moses murder that guy. He saw Moses commit murder. But the important part, God doesn't treat Moses the way that everybody else does. Let's look at how God treats, what God says to Moses. So in the next section, Moses is in Midian for a little while. And you guys remember, he's like walking through the pastures and there's just a bush on fire. And we'll get to more of that next week about exactly what God says through the burning bush, right? But there's two parts in that. We're going to skip a little bit. There's two parts in that when God speaks to Moses, right? This is so important. So God, in my mind, right, in my justice, God should be like, oh, like, you deserve just like, you deserve punishment. Oh, but Moses, I saw you kill that man. He's in a burning bush. Right, but that's the guy's right. Look, this is not what God does. This is not what God does.
God, I want you to talk right now.
If you guys go to Bible, go to Exodus 3 and verses 10. So Exodus 3 verse 10. So he's talking, God is like explaining who he is, and he says to Moses, in verse 10 he says, so now, go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? I'm not anybody. And God said, I will be with you. God said, I will be with you. He said, I will send you. I will be with you. That's how he responds to Moses. This is the first thing he says to Moses after Moses kills the guy. God loves Moses more than any of the rest. God loves Moses. And that's so much different than what everybody else in the world would say. Everybody else around him. That's completely different. Nobody else is like, oh, we still love you, Moses. They're like, Moses, you messed up. You lost your chance, Moses. You're disqualified now. Like, oh, you're going to lead us? Oh, we saw you kill it. Oh, you can't lead us. Who are you? God says, I want you to lead my people. I'll be with you. I'll be with you, right? God looks at Moses and doesn't see his brokenness, doesn't see his mistakes, right? But sees his love. He sees his love of Moses, right? When God looks at Moses, he doesn't see the murderer, he doesn't see the disqualified, he doesn't see the unfit for leadership, he doesn't see the forsaken, the dirty, or the unusable. He sees Moses, you're forgiven. Moses, you're qualified through my strength. I'll be with you. He says, Moses, you're fit to be a leader for me. I'll use you. He says, Moses, you're not forsaken. Moses, you're clean. And Moses, you're usable. He doesn't see him as a tarnished piece of clothing or broken pottery, as probably a lot of people around him did. And as he probably saw himself, he probably saw him as not able to be used. He was not forgotten. He was not forsaken. He was not a failure. Right? God didn't see him as any of those things. God said to him, I know you're not perfect, but that's okay, right? I don't expect you to be. He said, I love using broken people. That's the story we see throughout the Bible, right? God loves using broken people. How many perfect people in the Bible? One.
2 minutes.
Jesus was the only perfect person.
It's a Holy Spirit and the Holy Ghost.
Right? The rest of the people in the Bible were broken people, right? They're all broken people. But God used broken people to accomplish his mission.
If he's using me, so he's obviously using broken people.
And listen, he's using me to teach you guys. Right? I'm one of the most broken people. Listen up, guys. And he's using me too. I've gone through so many mistakes in my life. There's a lot of things I wish I could take back, but I can't. But that's okay, because God still uses me. He uses my story. He uses my experience. He uses all of that to teach you guys, to help other people go through the same stuff, right? And he's using Moses, a murderer, a literal murderer. Look at the whole story. We know that Moses, and we've been talking about this past few weeks, right? Moses is like the dude of the Old Testament, right? He literally splits the Red Sea. He does so, through God's power, he does so many miracles, right? And like all the plagues, all that kind of stuff, right? He leads the people out of slavery into the promised land. What? He is that dude. He is that guy, right? Do you, what's up?
They go there, and then there's a bunch of sheep people eating.
Right, but then, so do you think, here's the question, do you think Moses thought that he was going to do all that at this moment? When he's in Midian, do you think he was going to be that guy? Heck no. Heck no. He was like, God, I can't be used. But instead, God's like, oh, just wait. I got a big plan for you, Moses. Moses didn't believe it could happen. Listen, this is the exact same thing God wants to say to you today, right? I don't know if you're in this situation yet, if you've been in this situation, but I know at least that you will be in this situation. Whether it be from a mistake you make, people around you find out, you're going to make mistakes, whether it be from a mistake. Whether it's between you and yourself, or you exile yourself, you tell yourself you're not good enough because of what other people say, or you convince yourself you're not as good as anybody else, or you're not usable, or you don't got the right stuff for God to use. Listen, we're sinners, right? We screw up. We may not come to God, we make lots of mistakes. But in that moment of defeat, God still wants to say to you, listen, God still wants to say to you, in that moment of defeat, in that moment of exile, when Moses is away and he's exiled from everybody and from himself, God says to him, I says to you, I want to use you. Don't exile yourself from him, right? God says, I saw you mess up. He sees you mess up, and he still says, I love you. He says, I know you'll screw up tomorrow. I'll still love you tomorrow. I still want to use you. He says, let me guide you, right? He tells Moses, I will be with you. Follow me. Lead my people out of Egypt. I've got plans for you. Follow me. Please follow me. I know you're not perfect. Follow me. Let me turn you into a leader, right? We're talking about leadership. Moses ends up being one of the greatest leaders, right? He wasn't perfect. When I was younger, I thought Moses was perfect. No. Moses was murdered. Moses was murdered, but he turned into one of the greatest leaders of the Old Testament.
Never gonna see Moses the same again, though.
Well, he's just like us. He's just like us.
We'll see what happens when they'll be like, hey, Moses.
We got a lot of other stuff about Moses that we're gonna look at, right? I think when we're younger, we kind of see him as this, again, like we see him as this perfect dude, but the story of the Bible is not about perfect people, it's about broken people. It's about people who screw up over and over and over. And that's comforting to me because I screw up over and over and over, right? True. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a pretty imperfect person.
If you don't have the word of perfect person, up in the Bible, you see my name. Every Sunday.
Right, so if you guys, listen up, almost done. If you guys are going through this, or when you do go through this, like, turn to the right places, that's what I'm saying. Turn to the right places. I know Moses didn't have social media back then. There's a lot of bad places you can go for validation, for a sense of belonging, right? God came to Moses. Go to God, right? That's what I'm saying. Good question.
What's funny is that he looks like Moses, right? Like he said, and like doesn't look up. What's funny is that he doesn't know, and that's when he written down in the Bible.
That's it. Right? Thankfully, a lot of stuff we've done is not written down, right? But ultimately, when we mess up, God still wants to use us, right? You're not written off. Thankfully, Jesus saved us of our sins and has taken away that punishment for us, right? So ultimately, when that happens, we should turn to God, right? Because He still wants to use us, right? We're not written off. Let's pray.
Pray peace.
Dear God, we just thank you for tonight. Thank you for these awesome people in this room. Thank you for the opportunity for me just to be able to hang out with them for the past few months and for the foreseeable future, Lord. I just thank you that you can use somebody like me, somebody like Moses, broken people, Lord, just to make an impact on your kingdom, Lord, to be a force for your kingdom, God. I thank you that you don't use perfect people, Lord, but that you see us as broken and you still tell us that you love us, God. I pray for the students this week as we go out into the world, into the brokenness of the world, Lord. And when we screw up, Lord, that when we do, and when I do, probably tomorrow, just like a lot of these other students, Lord, I pray that we would just turn to you, and that we'll be filled up with your voice and your labels on us, God, not anybody else, not ourselves. That we look to you for belonging, God. Be with us as we go back to school. Just continue to just ignite a burning passion in our hearts and continue to grow us as leaders like you do in us. We love you so much. In your name, amen.
Amen. All right. Drew did great. Right? Drew will listen.